Shana Tova. Or as they say in Yiddish, Good Yontif. Also kind of a little more smack in there, you know. But no matter how you put it, or Happy New Year, whichever way you want to put it, we are here tonight to begin this process that our people have engaged in for, as far as we can figure, a couple thousand years anyway. Recognizing the sweep of time. You know, Jews tell time in an interesting way. If you've ever waited for another Jewish person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But besides there being Jewish Standard Time, I'm also referring to the fact that time moves two different ways for the Jewish people. Time moves in a straight line. It moves only one direction, and it moves to endings. And in our tradition, there's also the notion that if we're lucky, some messianic moment will arise, and then time itself as we know it will be completed. But in the meantime, we're all going one way. But time works a second way. Jewish time works in circles. So I kind of imagine, in the best of ways, that we're kind of like those hamsters in a ball, that we just keep moving forward, rolling forward, but in a circle. So we know without fail that no matter what, Rosh Hashanah will come back again. And so will Yom Kippur. And so will Sukkot and Pesach. And so will all those holidays that we don't even know. We'll look at a Jewish calendar. What is that for anyway? Shmini Atzeret, would someone please tell me? So no matter what, those things just keep coming. You can chart it out for 2,000 years from now. And I don't know where we'll be. Well, I know where we'll be, but where the earth will be, who knows? What condition? But with or without Jews, Rosh Hashanah will come. There's something really comforting about that notion, the cyclical part of our lives. It reminds us that things will come back. Things will return. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is all about returning. It's about returning from the places we've been where we have dropped parts of ourself along the way. It's returning to our best possible self. It's returning to the best impulses of humanity that are in each of our hearts, if we are able simply to reach for those very extraordinary impulses to do right, to do well, not just for ourselves, but for others. A little note to you on this Erev Rosh Hashanah. You who are here tonight, I cannot begin to tell you how thrilled we are that you are here. There are a lot of people, rumor has it, that are right at this very second are streaming us. So I want to wave to you in your pajamas. Hello. And to welcome you, no matter where you're from and what you're watching us on. The fact is that you're part of this dynamic congregation. You're virtual. Here we're the real thing. And I'm glad you're here to make this the real thing. It is the real thing. There's no rehearsal. We're here. One other thing, well, there'll be a few, but your Machzor, your Rosh Hashanah prayer book, should be right in front of you in the slot or next to you or in your hands by now. And my hope is that you will look at it as a guide book for Rosh Hashanah. Some of you are hardcore in the prayer service. Every prayer, you want to chant it, you want to read it, that's your practice, and I say bravo, and I love you for it. Some of you are, I come here twice a year, maybe, and I feel a little bit alienated from what this prayer stuff is. I'm not really sure I understand what it is or how it touches my heart. There is no judgment about that. And in fact, this is a wonderful prayer book, a wonderful guide. If you just, over the course of a service, just go somewhere else. I mean, stay here. But in the book, explore it, use it, enjoy it, appreciate it. Let this time be for you a place of meditation and contemplation. There'll be times when we ask you to rise and be seated. If you'd rather stay seated, stay seated. If you'd rather stand up for the whole service, stand up for the whole service. This is not about following a lockstep program. This stuff is about our souls, right? This is the real thing. And so I ask you to dare to wander from, I don't like this, but I got to be here, to what can I get from this? How can I make this worth my while? Up here, we'll do our best to provide you with music that we think is beautiful and moving. We'll do our best to provide you with stories and sermons and words and gestures that will enliven your spirit and nourish your soul. And all together, we will be walking into a new year with love and with hope, some trepidation too. But most of all, we're doing it together. And that is what matters most. Abby Shapiro is our president, who will lead us in the blessing over the candles, which is found on page 11.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom tov.
Amen.
The first mitzvah in the Torah is let there be light. So we are commanded, in everything you do, be a menorah, a bringer of light. Live with honor, act with integrity, do your work with passion, and the radiance of your deeds will live after you. May your ideals burn bright, forever unextinguished, and may we live our lives like the flames we kindle, always stretching upward, striving for the good, reaching for you. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel yom tov. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'hidyanu lazman hazeh.
There's a traditional song, you'll find it on page 17, that in congregations all over the world since, I guess, around the Middle Ages, cantors have chanted. And you'll notice the translation on page 17 along with an interpretive reading on page 16. And it's basically to let you know that we know that what we're doing up here is lending our hearts and souls to you to guide you into your own prayers. We don't pray for you. We can't. That's not Judaism. We can't pray for you. We can pray with you. We can provide you with tools and inspiration to find your own prayers in your heart. And so as Susan chants her prayer, her bakasha, her request to the congregation, I will basically be antiphonally doing the same prayer from my side. Here I am again. I'm exhilarated being here in this place with my people, my community, my family. I'm anxious tonight. I want to do right by everyone. I want to do my part in making this new year a good year for us all. There are so many dynamics, so many pieces to this intricate puzzle of a new year, of life itself. How do I develop sufficient insight? How can I practice true tzedakah? Do I possess an open heart? How can I become more empathic, a non-judgmental person? Can I forgive those who have wronged me? Can I be forgiven for the ways that I have failed? Dear God, help me to open my heart, my eyes, my ears, my whole soul. Let my heart overflow with compassion and gratitude. Help me find the inspiration to inspire others to deeds of righteousness. Tonight, dear God, reach out to me and give me strength and courage. If you will please turn to page 15 and rise. James, would you get to that door and open it up? Abby, would you open the other door, please? You're on. Tiku v'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chageinu. Tiku v'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chageinu. Ki chok liYisrael hu mishpat leElohei Yaakov. Tiku v'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chageinu. Tiku v'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chageinu. And while our ark is still open, please turn to page 19. We're going to read in Hebrew the blessing for the new year. There's a little spot where it includes the date. And all it has is Bishnat Chameshet Alafim. And we continue Sheva Ma'ot Shivim Ushmona. And if you got that, great. If not, just sort of mumble it a little bit and we'll get there. Then we'll read it all together in English in case you're not covered. Together we read Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu. Yehi ratzon shenizkeh levirchotecha bishnat chameshet alafim ushva ma'ot shiv'im ushmona. Elohei olam barech otanu ve'et kol beit Yisrael bechidush yameinu b'simcha u'v'shalom b'nechama u'v'ometz lev b'chilutz atzamot u'v'ruach etana. Yehi pri sfatenu mikubal v'ratzui milfanecha bifros hashana hachadasha. La'ad modim anachnu lach al matnat chayim. In English together, our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessing in the year 5778. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. Page 20.
Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. On page 23, the quickening of the moon calls us to return, and we gather, seam dwellers on the edge of the earth. As the sun lowers itself into the sea, introspection rises. A sliver cracks the heart of the firmament, the vast blackness, an invitation to right ourselves anew.
El Chai v'Kayam, Yamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim.
Page 24.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha avta Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Utanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu Ukumenu nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla nege yomam v'layla Ahavatcha al tasir Himenu le'od ahavim Baruch atah Adonai Ohivanu Yisrael Ohivanu
Yisrael.
Please rise as you're able on page 26.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
As the High Holy Days were approaching, it is my wont sometimes to find a place for a little cup of coffee out of my house, out of my office, just a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of thinking room. So I was on Newton Center in the Panera's in the back, and you know that place in the back. And I actually didn't bump into anyone I knew, which itself was kind of remarkable. And I thought, okay, fine, I'll just be able to sit here, and I will read, and it'll be nice, and I'll feel refreshed and ready for the next days. 5 minutes later, a few people walk in. They look like in their mid-20s. And then they're talking, and I'm not really paying attention until I hear one of them going, like quietly, but not silently, Vayhi achar hadvarim ha'ele v'ha'elohim nisa et avra. So they're chanting the Torah portion we're going to hear tomorrow morning. One of them is. I don't know if they're showing off or they're... But then they get to a certain point, and he stops, and he says, ugh, how does that go again? Well, one of them says, did you bring your tikkun? Did you bring the book? Now, obviously my attention is not on my cup of coffee. Right? So I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to keep listening. I don't want to hello, I'm this older man that can answer all your questions. I didn't want to I didn't want to be that guy, though I felt I could, And, and I don't know if this matters at all, but because I'm where I am in my life and I'm looking at the Jewish world as it's changed so radically, and the person who's chanting is a person of color, which to me is I know I should not have this thought of hallelujah, but I did. I was I thought, this is our world now. And I'm sitting in Panera's in Newton Center, not the most sort of cosmopolitan place in the world, and this black dude is chanting Torah. And he's stuck. And finally I thought, okay, I know the answer to the question. So I walked over, I said, with respectfully, I know how it ends. I don't know if he thought I meant the story of Isaac or just the music. I wasn't sure how that came across. But he was like, what? I said, well, I couldn't help but hear you, and as it turns out, I'm a rabbi. He said, oh, wow, can you? And then he chanted his portion for me. And he got stuck on one particular spot, which can be tricky, and I happened to know part of it by heart. Luckily, he wasn't 3/4 done, or I would have been in trouble. But the first half, I'm good. I'm great with the first half. And he was so thankful to me. The truth is, I was thankful to him. I was thankful to him for a few reasons. He reminded me that anywhere you go, there's likely to be some moment that opens up that is so richly Jewish, that is so quintessentially, perfectly sculpted to enter into with a neshama, with a real sense of soul. And that we could connect, that it would essentially be this, it was this generational moment, I guess I would have to say. And I loved it. And I thought, this is the story of the Jews of America today. And Maimonides, the great scholar of the Middle Ages, who was not known as a liberal guy, by the way, when he was asked, once, there's a midrash, a story that says, all the Jews who were ever born, over all of history, over into the future, every Jewish soul was present at Mount Sinai when the Torah was given. And so Maimonides was asked, Maimonides, what about the people that were not born Jewish? What do they get? Where were they? Maimonides said, they were there too. They were right next to you and right next to me. And that is the most hopeful, most beautiful promise for why Judaism will continue in new ways to flourish and be wonderful and amazing, and all out of a cup of coffee and a missing trope sign. We're on page 34.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Page 36.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai.
Guard us from harmful things.
O Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning
When holidays come, we are aware of the people that couldn't be with us because they're ill, or this year because they're homeless after losing everything in Florida or Houston, or they have family in Mexico, or they have friends in the West, in Montana, where the wildfires continue to burn. So whether it's through illness or displacement of some sort because of natural disaster, we think of the ones that can't be with us tonight, and our hearts are full. But every service we do, every Erev service we do, we make sure to provide time to sing together a Mishaberach, a prayer that reminds us of our obligation to bring our blessing to those in need of healing. And typically on a Friday night, we go around the room and ask people who have someone or some ones they're thinking of to raise their hands and say those names. Tonight, what I'd like to suggest, rather than going around, is we say the names all together. And as I always like to say, it might sound like a jumble of names, but God will sort them all out. So if you'll please say the names of those you're thinking about now. On page 245, middle of the page. Blessing, and let us say Page 37. Darkness settles slowly across the horizon. The new year rises before us, its fragile moon awaiting our embrace. Heaven and earth entwine in their annual dance of recreation. A fissure appears in the firmament tonight, an entranceway into new beginnings. Out beyond the swales, the sea expands and contracts, keeping time to the thrumming of the universe. Under this Rosh Hashanah sky, the path before us is uncertain. All we can do is hold each other tight as we make our way home. We are on page 40.
Shemir Abba.
Amen.
Ve'amad yivrach chirutei, ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayedcha beit Yisrael. לעולם לעולמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשא
בריחו
לעילה ולעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירון בעלמא ויאמרו
Amen. Please rise. Page 42.
Baruch
atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher, Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevih Geula lifnei b'neihem, למען שמו באהבה זוכרנו לחיים מלך חפץ בחיים וכותבנו בספר החיים למענך אלוהים חיים מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אמן
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיים מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא
כמוך בעל גבורות ומידות מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים זוכה יצוריו לחיים ברחמים ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים.
ברוך אתה אדוני
בשמו
מחיי הכל.
אמן.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, ואין אלוהי מלבדך, ככתוב, ויקבע אדוני צבאות במשפט, האל הקדוש וקדוש בצדקה. ברוך אתה אדוני המלך הקדוש.
Amen. Please be seated. We continue silently.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Ki ata hu Adon lechol hashalom, v'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. Bashalom. Bashalom.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך Adonai, עושה השלום.
Amen. We're on page 76. Please rise as you are able. Stacy, would you and Eddie please open the ark? We read together in the English. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake, show us mercy. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill among us. Avinu Malkeinu, allay the harshness of the decree against us. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal. Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake and save us. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu. Ve'al oleinu v'tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, kale dever v'cherev v'ra'av me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kale kotzar umastin me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Hanenu V'Hanenu, Ki Ein Banu Nasib, Aseh Imanu, Tzedaka v'chesed, Aseh Imanu, Tzedaka v'chesed, v'moshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Hanenu V'Hanenu, Ki Ein Banu Nasim.
Please be seated. I told this story last year. Some of you were there, and I kind of freaked people out with this story. I'm just going to warn you. I don't mean to freak you out by the story, but last year, my wife and I were walking along the beach on Cape Cod in Orleans. That's where we go. And we were walking back from the near point, and not this past summer, but last year's summer, there was a long period. It was hot and sticky, even for summer on the Cape weather. So a little uncomfortable walking back, this sort of late afternoon, had enough of the beach, ready to go back, sit in the shade, a little drink, just chilling out on a summer afternoon. So we're walking along the beach. Beautiful, beautiful. The dunes, the grass, the terns that we're not allowed to walk on the sand because of them, and just all the natural phenomena that make the Cape an extraordinarily beautiful place. When all of a sudden, as I'm walking, and I come upon, I have to do like a triple take, because what I see is a bird, a full-grown bird, and it's on its back, and its wings are spread. Not a natural position for a bird to be in. And I looked more closely at it, and I realized it was still alive. But, though I'm not a veterinarian, I am pretty, I pick up pretty quickly on things, and it was pretty clear to me that this bird on its back in the middle of a sunny, hot day was actively dying. And it was sort of moving its legs a little bit, sort of moving its head back and forth. But clearly, this bird was dying. And I thought, You know, it's weird. I've never seen a dying bird before. Like, how do birds die? Like, I've seen birds carried back by cats. If you've ever owned a cat, you have seen a dead bird, often in your cat's mouth. Or if you've ever had other animals, they're sort of ripped apart, they fall down from... But the question is, you know, what happens to a bird? Like, where do they go? Like, is there a place where birds go to die? Are there like certain trees they hang out in that are bigger branches, easier to get to, more food? I don't know. I was puzzled looking at this bird. And I thought, oh man, okay. So I see a bird. Now what? And so Liza, who's a very brave woman, said to me, honey, you have to kill him. I said, what do you mean? She said, clearly this animal is in misery. And I don't know much about birds. This bird was not happy. And if I would have to put on, you know, those faces in the hospital to describe pain, right? So there's 10 is like, you know, a smiley face, and 1 is like, you know, weeping with mouth downturned. It was about like a 0.5, okay? So I was pretty certain that this animal, this bird, was in pain. And I thought, so what do Jews do in a situation like this? I mean, not that I'm a halachic Jew or anything, I'm not going to hide behind that, but I thought, do we have an obligation to animals? And I didn't know that because I'd never studied it. And as my friends will tell you, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not like the biggest animal guy in the world. This is on a scale of people that love every animal in the world and those that don't, sort of more towards like that side. But I have rachmanis, you know, I have a full heart for any living thing, except mosquitoes or stuff like that. And I have my limit. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, it's in pain. And subsequently, I went home, and of course I looked it up. And indeed, in Jewish tradition, the rabbis are really clear. And don't forget our ancestors, they lived around animals all the time. They either were on farms or they were in cities and towns. They were always dealing with animals that were sick. And the word is that if an animal is in pain, that is your obligation as a sentient human being to put it out of its misery. Now, interestingly enough, that does not go into how Jews feel about end of life for other human beings, but that's a different conversation. So I said, really? Kill it? She said, well, don't you think that's the right thing to do? And I thought about it. And I looked at the bird whose wings were akimbo, whose head was sort of moving back and forth, whose claws were sort of twitching back and forth. And as I watched, it was getting slower. So I wasn't going to like do a death vigil for a bird. So I thought, okay. So I pick up a rock. I mean, you got a better idea? So I pick up the rock, and I look at the bird, and I think, I guess in the cosmic span of life, this makes sense. This is something I can do. In this little microcosmic moment, this little insignificant moment on a summer afternoon on a beach, a dying bird can be put out of its misery by a big guy in a swimsuit. So I take the rock, and I look down, and I go, oh, okay. And God is my witness. I lift it up like this. The bird twitches twice and dies. How did I know? I gave a little poke. I mean, if I had already committed, and I wasn't going to leave it if it were still alive. So I put the stone down. And I have to tell you that maybe this sounds odd to you. If you're an animal lover, it won't sound odd at all. Being in the presence of the bird at the moment of its death was some kind of a cosmic gift to me, and I would even like to think for the bird. The bird didn't die alone. In fact, the bird died with someone willing to help it make it through. And for me, it reminded me that we're called upon to perform acts of kindness in the oddest moments and in the strangest of ways. This thing we call life is such a gift, not just for us, but for everything that breathes. Everything is touched by holiness. So I said to Eliza, I think I'm not going to even bother burying this bird, because no matter where we bury it right now, where we are, the water will take it. So let the ocean take this bird back. Let it be what it is for the crustaceans that will eat it, and for the way it will just continue to be part of this little piece of paradise that we're allowed to walk through once a year. Maybe it shouldn't be such a big deal, but I have to tell you, that bird in its last moment was an extraordinary teacher about compassion and open-heartedness and the value of every single minute, whether it's in the life of a bird, in the life of a person with the bird's life in his hands. Folks, if you please turn to page 82 and rise as you are able. Alan and Phyllis Silver, if you'd please join us on the Bimar Ark Openers for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש. Page 85. ונאמר והיה אדוני. ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. During holidays, we are aware of those who have died in the season and in years past. How our lives are so changed by the passing of others. It is as inevitable as the passing of the day, as the rising and setting of the sun. And still, as much as we know it will come, it hurts, and the loss remains an echo for the rest of our lives. Tonight we remember these loved ones whose yahrzeits are observed this week. Lewis Allen, Alexis Bachman, Samantha Bachman, Frida Berger, Paul Drapkin, Richard Gordon, Marvin Gottlieb, Rose Green, Estelle Greenfield, Saul Greenfield, Saul Eisenberg, Bert Lang, Marion Lazar, Daniel Lewin, David Reddick, Herb Siegel, Maura Shapiro, Richard Simkis, Anna Singer, Edward Swartz, Marion Wasserman, and the Shloshim observance for these who have died in recent days and weeks. Adele Barnett, Richard Goyek, Sylvia Kaufman, Jerry Michelson, Herbert Bernard Safran, Robert Schwartz, and Steve White. The memories of all of them are with us, as are the memories of all of those who we love and remember tonight. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 90. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayichon v'yomeichon v'chayedacha beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam me'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei kudsha b'richu, Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'asei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. If you'll please be seated. Abby Shapiro has a few announcements for us on this beautiful Erev Rosh Hashanah. Oh, say hello.
So nice to see so many of you tonight. Tomorrow morning, our adult service will start at 9:30 for the morning service and at 12:45 for the late service. So we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow and spending the new year with us. We do actually have our children's service at 8:30 for any of you that may be bringing young children. So we'll look forward to seeing you all and celebrating the holidays with you over the next few weeks. Thanks.
I think before we do the Kiddush together, I want to mention Ian, this young guy down here. I just blinked on your last name again. It's aged, so it's okay. Simpson, I should remember that. Ian Simpson is sitting. Now I'll never forget. That's how I did. As I'm sure you heard, Ian has an exquisite instrument, both his voice and his guitar playing. Once again, Susan Glickman said to me, was it 2 years ago or something? Said, I heard this guy who, if we get him now, before he gets famous, we're going to really luck out. And I thought, cool, let's hear him. And she was right, as always. And Ian, I want to thank you for adding so much. In addition to singing during the holidays, Ian also works with our kids in Sunday school. He leads them in songs, and he actually gets people over the age of 8 to sing sometimes. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a great talent in and of itself. So Ian, thank you. To the great maestro, to Jamie Saltman, who has been sitting in that seat for years. As always, Jamie, your playing is just so perfectly suited to everything and how it's all done. Looking forward to being with you throughout the holidays and the Shabbatot to come. Susan, I love you. And I really love and appreciate all of you on this voyage that we're on for 5778. If you'll please rise. If you'd like to sing along, the Kiddush is on page 79. Oh, we don't have any other clue. Oh, you know what? If anyone is under the age of 13 who's awake, I invite you up. And if there's anyone 13 years or under, not yet bar bat mitzvah, would like to join us on the bima, come on up. Hello, hello. Okay, well, you'll get some soon. Come on, Lauren. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am rabanu mikol lashon v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav. V'titein lanu Adonai lanu b'ahava et yom hazikaron hazeh yom teruah mikra kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim dvarcha emet v'kayam la'ad baruch atah Adonai melech al kol haaretz mikadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron. Amen. L'chaim, l'chaim. At home, dude, at home. And now, it is actually, in this hermetically sealed plate, we're going to air this out, but don't take them yet because we'll do the challah first, but we're just going to let the, in a moment. But first, who has the next bar bat mitzvah in this? No. When is your bat mitzvah? Well, hello, get over here. Lauren Fish, please. If you'll take this challah in your hands. No gluten problems, right? Okay, take it. And if you will please lead us in the motzi. 1, 2, 3. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And one more thing. Before we grab this challah, I need you, now this is going to be an exercise in delicacy, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to each take a slice of apple in your hand. And when I count to 3, not yet, but when I count to 3, you will dip it in the honey and munch. But first, we are going to say this. It's not really a prayer, it's a wish, a hope. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu, shetechadesh aleinu shana tova umtuka. May it be your will, Adonai our God, creator of the universe, that you will give us, grant us, a sweet, healthy new year. Now dip the apple, take a munch. Maestro, you're on.
We're on page 94. For the traditionalists in the house, this is for you. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'ed
Nasa v'hefzo kol Azai melech shemo nikra Azai melech shemo nikra
Yacharet Kichlot
Hakol
Levado Yimom Nora Vehu Hayno Vehu Hover Vehu Yiyeh B'tifara Vehu Yiyeh B'tifara.
I want to also thank James Naherney, Stacy Schwartz, Abby Shapiro for sitting with us on the bima, our representatives from the executive committee, and important people doing important things. Much more to hear about, but in the meantime, on this new year, may we feel strength and be strengthened from those around us. May we remember just how valuable and sweet life is for us and for all things everywhere. Shana Tova.
Shana
Happy New Year to
Tova.
all.
Shana Tova. right?
Yep.
Then the soloists, see, I would say that the soloist, Ian, you can be on the floor. We're gonna have Jennifer, who's so tiny,
Yep.
standing on the step. So Ian is gonna stand, we're gonna need a microphone. One of the, yeah. But you probably already did. So let's put your microphone. Right here, no, right here. The little kid service is right here.
Oh, no, I mean,
Oh, I think it's in the bowling alley.
yeah.
No, not the bowling alley, the boardroom.
Yeah, I guess this is the bowling alley. And that's the border. Yeah, okay. Brushing up on my terminology.
Okay, so this
So
is,
we're gonna have two microphones.
okay.
Because of this
Yeah, we're
microphone.
getting a little bit of ringy-dingy on that thing. I'm just gonna have to bring this one down a little bit.
Well, you could bring it over farther, you could
Well,
change the location.
Well,
Oh,
the thing
you wanna
is,
move it over this way?
it just has to be, well, you know, I can make this work. It's just that I'm starting to hear, like you can hear that ring. Oh, it's also coming off of that
You know
speaker
what, let's
too.
do it this way, Erica, moving them all down, all together.
Okay.
So then we're gonna have two soloists. I thought you wanted them 12 feet apart.
Well, no, 10 feet is fine.
We have two songs they're singing. Do we have three table mics? Something feels funky. It's gonna be very comfortable. Is this exact, well, it can still be one of the plugs, but move it over so it's at the edge of the plug. Well, I see the plug right.
I think I'm gonna go,
Gonna go home?
I'm gonna go to my apartment now.
Grandma's house?
Yeah.
For Alana to come, she's coming over tomorrow night, and
Ah,
she's gonna love it.
Yeah.
That seems like the kind of show she would watch with me.
yeah, it's called Sing Street. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. Now you just have to straighten. feel. It's really loud. I also could move it back a little bit. That my mom. Right, there'll be people in the room. I also have it really high, and tomorrow my suit will be a little lower. I'll try to put it a little lower. Let me sing something else. Pardon, this is my voice. Hello, hi, nishama. Hello, hi, nishama. Shenata, tehorahi, tehorahi.
I can hear myself in the room a little bit.
Oh, so you think well, when we're singing regular stuff, you can turn the choir mics down.
Oh yeah, they're completely off.
Yeah.
But sing like Shalom Rob or something I can sing along with. Or just if I had a hammer.
I think Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav,
Israel,
Shalom Rav,
Okay, so we go facing the ark. Baruch. This is so funny. It just feels like it's too far to the right.
Because you should be centered on that.
Yeah.
Shouldn't the beamer be centered on the opening of the ark?
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
Well, it doesn't have to be centered, but it needs to be a little bit more this way.
Right now it's.
Like there's a huge space over there and nothing at all over here. But I can't get the guys to move. They need like 2 people it takes to move it.
So it's not the ark. It must be the
They
bema.
no.
Well, see, look. So the bema is not centered on the ark here. The bema is a little bit to the right of center.
Well, because they need to use the mic. They need to use the plug down
Oh,
below.
okay,
So
well-
it's fine about that. I think it's okay. But I think when we turn around,
Yeah, you know this sounds okay. So then